From the studios at Streetsboro High School, this is the Rocket Report.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on to public comments. Mr. Haynes, do we have any public comments tonight?
Yes, we have 3.
Okay. The Board of Education respects the rights of citizens to speak at our monthly business meeting. Members of the public can address the Board of Education by signing up for public comment. Let's see here. Community comments are one way for citizens to communicate with the Board of Education. When your name is called, please come to the podium and state your name, address, and topic. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Remember, this is a formal and official meeting of the Board of Education, and what you say will become part of official meeting record. If your comment involves a problem with a student, employee, or board member, please do not identify them by name. Keep in mind we are meeting in a schoolhouse and in the presence of students. At this time, the primary role of the Board of Education is to listen and reflect on what is said. Sometimes we may respond or ask questions, but not always. However, we always respect your input, and it is valued. Okay, Mr. Haynes.
All right, the first 2 are Matt Klimek and Curtis Cook to talk about the soccer team.
Hi, my name is Curtis Cook.
My name is Matthew Klimek.
We're here to address getting kicked off the soccer team before we were able to give our side of the story of what happened.
So last night at the girls' MAC tournament, we were walking back from the bathroom and we were making noises with each other, and some girls from Ravenna, they took it a different way and they told their board, and then it got to TV poll, and they just they kicked us off the team without letting us tell our side of the story.
And ever since we were little, we would joke around with each other, and we didn't mean it in any way offensive to them. I understand now that it could have came off as offensive, and we probably shouldn't have been joking the way we were in public.
That's it.
Thank you, guys.
Next public speaker is Dana Surek on bathroom issues.
Hi, I'm Dana Surek. My daughter is Isabel Parfell. She is a student here. I live at 782 Frost Road, Streetsboro, Ohio. Bear with me, I'm really nervous while talking in front of people. So I want to start off by saying that my concern for the school board is not about politics or discrimination against any students. This evening, I'm speaking regarding of our transgender students using the opposite bathroom that are not specific for their birth gender. This is a safety concern about my daughter and her peers using the women's restroom safely and comfortably. I have cases I have brought for you. I've done some research of sexual and assault abuse cases by transgender students in the inappropriate bathroom. When my daughter went to the vice principal and her peers, he told them that she could use the nurse's bathroom, which is way out of the way of her classes, and she will be late for class. So I'm proposing that the students of transgender use that bathroom or a he-she bathroom, which I have seen in the hallways. So use those bathrooms so our students, like Isabel, can be comfortable and feel safe using the female bathroom. And I see in the Streetsboro High School policies, there is nothing stating about transgenders using the opposite restroom. That's all I got.
Thank you.
All right. The next individual is Amy, I apologize if I mispronounce this, Dubel. Talk about the same bathroom issue.
My name is Amy Dubel. This is my daughter, Jenna Dubel. We are Streetsboro residents. First, I want to say thank you for letting us speak. This is our first year in the Streetsboro School District, and to date, it's been a great experience. Jenna's been doing really well, and I want to thank you for that support. We're kind of following up on that discussion that was just here. So Jenna came home and told me about what had happened with the student in the bathroom. And so I said, well, let's go to the school and talk about it. So we had a meeting with the vice principal on Friday, and he listened. He was very kind. He had suggested that Jenna could use private bathrooms, the nurse's bathroom, and he did say there were like other private bathrooms. And so he asked her if she was comfortable with that. We said yes. And so we said, let's try it. Like we're not here to cause any issues as well. It is a safety issue, and so I just want her to feel comfortable. So she's been doing, coming to school, trying to use the bathrooms. It is an inconvenience because she has a lot of classes on the second floor. And when I reached out to her counselor, Mr. Campbell, he said use the nurse's bathroom. The nurse's bathroom isn't close by. So for her to either go to that bathroom in between classes, she's going to be late, or she's going to have to leave class and go all the way to the nurse's bathroom, all the way back up, and she's going to miss a chunk of her class that is important. And so I proposed the same thing, that the student who's in the bathroom who isn't born a female should use the private bathrooms. I mean, it's safe for that person. It's safe for all the other girls to be able to use the bathroom. And I don't think that it is fair that everyone else should accommodate for one person's needs. I think it should be the opposite, and it's not any issue other than safety for her. Like, she is not using the bathroom at all. She's holding it or whatever else because she doesn't feel comfortable and it's not working for her to use, the nurse's bathroom. So that's an issue. And it is a safety issue. I will leave with this. If that student decides he doesn't want to be a girl anymore and he's in that bathroom the same time my daughter is and something happens, it could have been avoided. It is a safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
That are all the signed up public comments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good. Moving on to approval of minutes. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes from September 14th, 23 as submitted.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Haynes?
Mrs. Bedford,
Yes.
Mr. Grimm,
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell,
Yes.
Zeppel,
Yes.
Mr. Violi.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to superintendent's report.
Thank you. I would like to invite Mr. Wepler and Ms. Taylor to come up to the mic, and while they're making their way up, we are going to use next month's meeting to allow the high school to present as well. But as they're making their way up, I was informed by our two middle school administrators that they are actually setting the bar for the rest of the administrative team tonight. So administrators, you need to pay attention and watch how well Ms. Taylor handles this presentation. But I believe at the last board meeting, I talked a lot about our focus with our staff. Our principals have taken a lot of ownership on using data to try and move the bar to get our kids where we feel they need to be on our testing, our achievement testing. And so they all have plans that they wanted to share with you. And so tonight you're going to hear from Julie.
Thank you. Before I start, I have a couple of my teachers here. I have Johnston and Miss Ekron, and we implemented a data team this year. So those two are heading my data for ELA and math, so they do a lot of work, so I'd like to give them a shout out. Same with Mr. Wepler. He does a lot of work there as well, and then it's our staff. So this is just me presenting on everything that they do on a daily basis. So we came together this year, and we wanted to have academic goals. So Mr. Wepler and I met together, and then we met with our BLT, and we started professional learning communities, which everyone meets together with their content area, and they meet during subject time, team time, and different duty periods. They meet twice a week, and then they also meet weekly as grade levels. And they work on their pacing guides, common assessments, and then the centralized reporting system. And they utilize our PDAs. And our big focus this year was working on, can you guys hear me or sorry, I'm not good with microphones. And our big thing was focusing on data, and then we also have MTSS and a team of data people. So the different teams we have is our MTSS, which we meet monthly, discuss students and data on their academic progress. And this comes together once a month with our data team. And we kind of work, the data people meet twice a week, working on the different data that everyone has sent to them, whether it's math, ELA, or science, based off common assessments. And they input it into a spreadsheet, and then we analyze the different checkpoints on where students are at. We have our BLT, and then our PLCs. So if I click on these, I don't know if you guys have a copy of it or no.
I don't see it.
Where's Andreas? Can I get into? Huh? Yeah.
I'm looking.
Log out, you said?
That's when you say, 1 moment, please. 1 moment, please.
Holding.
Where's Sarah's mic?
Bring my phone.
You're just trying to beat CJ's longest board report ever.
That was all in your plan, right? Let's see who can have the longest
It did,
report
'cause
tonight.
I can't wait for the comments.
Hi, Mr. Scarsapino. I haven't said hello yet today.
While Julie's logging in, you saw the acronyms BLT, that stands for Building Leadership Team, and PLC is a professional learning community. So those are some of the terms that we use in school districts and that some folks in the audience may not know what those mean. So BLT is your Building Leadership Team, PLC is your professional learning community.
Thank you, Mr. Dalbaugh.
Brian had a question.
to meet together by the subject area and as well as grade level, and they get together and we made documents for them to fill out. So here's a sample, and I won't go through all the samples of the different subjects, but here's 7th grade ELA, and they write an agenda on what they're working on, and then they go down, if it'll move, and then they do their focus, and you know, what are the essential standards they're looking at, they look at that, and then they make their way into what all students will learn, what the learning targets are, how we will know if they've learned them, and they do this at least twice a week. Sometimes there's 3 times a week that they'll meet, and sometimes they'll have a lot more, you know, data or things to put into the sheets, and sometimes it'll just be exactly what they were working on the week before. And then as you go down, it's, you know, different tasks for the next meeting, or what their goals for the next meeting will be, if they need support from Lee or myself, how they're going to update their pacing guides. And then, you know, we made our PLCs look at the air release test questions and come up with the best 5 questions and the standards, and then the worst 5 on how we scored against everyone. So that's a focus of the whole year as well. And we can share this with you, but we have a math link as well. We have a science and we have a social studies, and they all look different. You know, we have them use the same sheet, but they're allowed to, you know, make it their own and how they want to present. I think math might be a little different. I'll show math real quick. So here's 7th grade math. So they do theirs by date on what they worked on, and then kind of their different notes and comments, conversations. If, you know, Mr. Wepler or myself went in there and we talked about different air and different data points, and discussed, you know, how they're moving forward, and then, you know, how they're going to work on, you know, different standards. So it's set up differently. But whatever works for them, as long as we're getting all the information and data that we need from them. All right, so here, this was a big point of emphasis for us. So we have math and ELA data, and we started with every single kid. And this would be like a teacher's first period class right now in math, and that would be their spring air score. So if you have their spring air score, we put all the scores in and we color-coded them. So if you look at it, you know, purple would be the accelerated or advanced, green would be proficient, orange is within 10% of proficiency, and then red is basic or limited. So you see we have a variety in a class. And then we look at their spring MAP score and their fall MAP score, which is kind of a benchmark for us. Our benchmark test, and their percentile is based off where they started this year. And then so we have all these color-coded, all these scores, and then we had teachers do checkpoints. We have them do checkpoints bi-weekly in the centralized reporting system. So there's specific state questions, release questions that the teachers pick, and then based off those checkpoints, the students that were proficient, they can move on to the next standard. The students that were not proficient, they would have it would be identified as an intervention, such as the Delta Math, Khan Academy, Big Ideas, Ed Puzzle, small group, ASP placement, and then kind of building just on basic standards. And then same thing for ELA. So here would be a sample ELA question, classroom. And you see that we, you know, no matter what class we have with these kids, there's a variety of learners and a variety of space within them. But it's interesting to see the ones that are lower, say in the spring air or even higher, they should still be in the green, but then there are some that, you know, are in the orange or in the red, and you can see that, you know, in the fall they're in the green, and then they're in the green for the first checkpoint. So it's like, how do we continue to keep them at that pace? And the same thing for ELA. And so based off all our data, we have different periods called academic support periods that students are in every single day for 35 minutes. In the first quarter, we assigned our teachers based off just the spring data, just the scores from the spring. And then so we are allowing now moving forward based off the first quarter, since we end next week, and based off all of their different data and their checkpoints and the MAP score, how do they want to run their ASPs per grade level? Because what you're going to see in 6th is going to be different than 8th. So sixth grade decided, to target enrichment groups based off the data, but then also having a lowest ELA group, which is 3 days of intense foundational reading and support. They have a lowest math too, which is a target 3 days of intense multiplication, division, intervention, just basic, simple, get them the basic skills and building off of that. They have a reading comprehension group, and then there's a mid-level of bubble kids that will work on assessment and checkpoint data that is specifically designed just for them. Seventh grade did a little different based off their data. Seventh grade wanted to focus on math for a quarter and have a priority for it because we had a lot of low levels coming in. So they're going to do a 4-day intensive group with the math teachers. The math teachers will have one day, they'll have 15 kids in their class, and they'll be able to work on specific items and pull those kids and work one-on-one while the other kids are working on something assigned either from Delta Math or Khan Academy that's specific to their intervention. ELA will pull the bubble kids. They also have an enrichment group, and then the middle level will be using resources to enhance the gap closing, such on the Delta Math and Khan, and the big idea is to kind of push, to kind of close that gap. And then our 8th grade has kind of done it a little differently. They see that they want 2 days of math, 1 of science, and 1 of ELA. They focus on the math for 2 days, and obviously in 8th grade we have 3 tested subjects, so you got to split up those days as well. And then the math, they said they'll differentiate the tiered groups with assignments based off their specific needs, and they take the data from MAP, they take the data from the daily assessments, and then they'll work on different spiral work and data points. Science, they'll work on analyzing graphs to help with probability and statistics, so that helps with math as well. And then students in ELA will work on IXL for grammar and basic literary elements and focusing on writing as well as vocabulary. And then the last part that we used were labs, where students are in labs. They're placed in labs. Either the ELA lab, we place them by the semester, and the math can either be quarter or semester. And we specifically place them in there, and it's an intense program that's every day for 51 minutes, like another actual class for them. And for ELA, we use language live, read theory, comprehension, and they work individually on their growth and comparison, and then specific interventions that are used, and every kid gets tracked daily. Same with math. They use IXL, a diagnostic, and then they have skills and plans set in place, and they are retested every few weeks, and that's based off quarter and semester. And I know that was a lot. Any questions? I have a question. Yeah.
I have to turn my microphone on, though.
That's okay.
The chart with the colors?
Yeah.
The goal is to move them all to green, correct?
Yeah. So the green, yes. And it would be nice, so if we look at...
Or purple?
Yeah, well, purple ideally would be everyone.
Okay.
But it's more even the growth, so even... let's see if it goes. So even if a student, if we're looking at the data on the left over here, so these are basic and limited in the red.
Yep.
So even to see that on even a basic checkpoint for number sense that they got in the green and they got proficient in that, that to me is a big deal. That means that 674 next year could become a 684, and they still showed growth because they're moving up. And either way that they move up is obviously our ideal goal. But being able just to even show the growth and get into the green ideally, but even just growing throughout the year, then it shows us where they are.
Okay.
And some of the standards that you referenced, are those based on state standards or something else that was developed in-house?
What do you mean?
So we've always said that kids are always tested on what the state says they have to be tested on.
Yeah.
So some of the different things that you had posted up there is like the standards that you were measuring. Is that based on the state standards for that particular subject, or? Yeah. Okay.
So it's all based off the standards, based off their curriculum guides and their pacing guides that we look at every year too. And then we also, it's based off, they dug into looking at the released items and released test questions. So if there's, we found out that writing's a bigger portion that was scored on this last year's test than it was the year before. So kind of looking at stuff like that and diving deeper into that.
This drills right back into when we talked about last board meeting that our principals were challenged with at our admin retreat this summer to come up with a system to really attack the data and identify the data points and attack the data so that we could move kids. we realized our report card showed that in gap closing and in progress that we were exceeding the state standard as far as 1 year of growth, but that wasn't good enough for our principals and our staff. So there, in every building, you're going to hear a presentation. Julie was first about how they're specifically targeting. We changed the structure of our administrative meetings this year. We're meeting as a whole entire group once a month, but then we're doing subgroups where Cindy, Matt, myself, and Deb are meeting with middle school, high school, where they talk about the progress on these plans. And then we also meet with the elementary and DEFR on a second day. So they're more focused groups. And the whole overall goal is to really drill down into what we're teaching, how we're using the data to inform our instruction to move our kids forward. And so that was my big challenge to our administrative team this year. I am not going to take credit for any of this because we challenged them, make it yours, and this is what they did. So Julie was the volunteer to kick it off tonight. I will say, Julie, you did a very nice job, evenly. I think that Mr. McCann should be sweating a little bit. He is next month.
He left. He didn't want to see it.
But this is exact. And when we had our first couple meetings with them, and they were presenting this to us, I asked the principals, you guys have to come present this at a board member meeting. People need to see how hard you're working and how hard your staff working and how focused the questions are that we're asking. And we're using the tools that this board allowed us to identify, the map testing. We're using a new state system called the CRS reporting tool, and they're building assessments within that. But then the lady standing in the back of the room they didn't have to be here tonight, and they represent those people that are in trenches looking at that data to help them, the teacher teams, to continue the conversation forward. So this is all part of a big picture, a change, a different approach that we're using this year as an administrative team. And so this is the first you're going to hear from the high school and the 2 elementary teams next month during my report.
And just a comment, I like, obviously we want our kids in the green, right?
Yeah.
That's where we want them, but I like the comment of growth is growth. And if we're, if we have some kids that are just making that growth and we can show how they're doing it and we can keep on that path, we should be able to get them in the green. But I like that we're focusing on individual kids and their growth.
Well, and I also think that when you're doing it this way and you're constantly measuring, if they do slip back, you know what they're slipping back on. It's not the whole year we covered all of these things and we have no idea what you were missing. You can actually dial into, this is specifically where they're challenged.
Right.
No, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a log out, Andres? Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Julie, and that concludes my report.
Okay. Moving on to treasurer's report.
Andreas, I'll just use mine. That's fine. No one's run.
Everything came unwound.
All right, really quick. I try to make these as quickly and painless as possible. Last month I came to you guys with cell phone idea about going to personal cell phone and the work, and that's it. I'm just going to go to the bottom. We just keep it as is. Having a separate work phone compared to a personal phone. I had a lot of concern from other treasurers about having everything on their personal phone, and those that are just using one phone really wish they could get their admin team to go to 2 phones. So the one nice thing though, and I asked the admins to do this next month, is use the Zoom app more because all your calls and text messages can't go through Zoom. So then they're, it's a little bit easier to track that way. There was one appropriation amendment this month. There were a few kids that were then placed in LEAP and other designed third-party programs that we were not expecting. And that increased it by about $150,000 because those are very expensive, and we just were not expecting them at the start of the year. American Fidelity came and spoke to my team last week. Section 125 is basically pre-tax deductions. They basically will come in for free and make sure that all individuals know what pre-tax deductions they can sign up for. In return, they will offer additional disability insurance that they can sign up for, a cancer plan, accident plan, and additional life insurance. That's where they'll make their money, if anyone signs up for that. So it's Section 125, they come in, explain it all to our staff at no cost.
Will they also prepare the Section 125 document?
Yes.
Okay.
They make all of our
They'll
plan
handle all
documents.
of that, any
And
discrimination
they make
testing
sure
if
we're
needed?
all in compliance.
Okay.
Yes. The levy facts, I'm not going to run through these, but here are the levy facts. Basically, it's issue 17 on November. It will bring in roughly 4.7 million. The millage, it's 9 mills. However, because this is the renewal, the effective millage is only 7.78 mills. So that's why there's not an increase in taxes for individuals. You're actually paying less for every $100,000 of your property value. But once again, since property values have gone up, it should be about a wash. The general fund report, this month, starting this month, we start spending more than we bring in because tax money is gone. Compared to last year, we actually received manufactured homes in September last year. We didn't this year. So our revenues were actually, that should be $400,000 less than 23. And then looking at expenses, we spent $20,000 more this year. So the expenses are staying very stagnant so far. I do expect that to increase as we go throughout the year, but right now expenses are staying similar to last year. The last thing I don't have on here, I don't know if CJ was going to talk about the insurance, but the chiller is going to be almost fully covered by insurance.
Excellent.
Only the motor fans are not covered. So
Good.
that's great news because that's about $300,000 to $400,000 that we've had to put into that chiller.
Excellent.
Thank you, Brian, for shortening my report this evening.
You're welcome, CJ. Any questions?
83%-ish is salary and benefits?
85.
85.
And
Okay.
it is the #1 expense for every school.
Always,
district.
yep,
So-
always. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Moving on to Chief Business Officer's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Campbell. A few items tonight. I promise not 15 standalone items for approval like last
Are you sure?
meeting. Yes. What, my voice?
Your voice, because you're cold.
I have not been feeling the greatest, so. The operations team's gonna ask for approval tonight, on Verkada cameras, to the tune of about 162,000 total, right around $40,000 each building, give or take. The breakdown is all in there for you. We've gotten all the quotes. That money is coming from a safety grant that was received by the operations team, which Brian has budgeted for and is monitoring. Those funds need to be spent by December 31st of this year. So this is our first major purchase. We did all the phones when we went to the new phone system too through that. That's how the grant was written. So this is a significant chunk of that. The $400,000 grant, $100,000 at each building. We're still have other items, but we wanted to get this one ready to roll. So that's on there for your approval tonight. Quick update on the digital sign and the Henry Deffer sign. The Henry Deffer sign's not going to be digital, but we're utilizing the box that the high school sign is for the new monument sign at Henry Deffer. And we can't do that till we start construction on the digital sign. As of 4:47 p.m. today, the latest that I received is that we are very close to getting final approval on the permit to put the digital sign in. So hopefully we'll have approval soon and maybe be able to get it in before winter hits. But that's where we're at. We're still in the permitting process, but we're very close. So I just wanted to let you all know that. Project updates, just a few. The sidewalk to shot put and discus has been poured. It looks great. Thank you to the concrete guys for being great partners to the school district. It looks amazing. They knocked it out very quickly, and we did it in a time frame where it's all going to be okay to be driven over prior to the next home football game.
Excellent.
So we appreciate that. The pad for the band had been poured also during that same time so that they have a space for their grill on the visitor side of the bleachers. That project completed. We also poured an envelope off of the Henry Deffer driveway to push the snow onto, because we put bollards in separating the playground and the drive path, and we used to take snow and lift it and put it up over the fence. So we put like an entryway to push snow back on, and so that'll be real easy for the team to do that. And then another project that we worked on, we noticed over the past couple of years, we've been getting water intrusion in all of our concession stands at the football stadium and the baseball fields. It was getting like underneath the metal protector and ruining the countertop space. And so what we did was we had Portage Awning come out and measure for awnings in all those locations. Those have all been installed and look really nice. So if you probably wouldn't even notice it. If you just walked by, you would have thought like, oh yeah, that has always been there. But it hasn't, and it looks really good. They're blue, and we're hoping that that's going to help with that problem so we don't continue to have that. But they look good, and we're hopeful that that's going to solve it. Brian talked about where we're at in terms of the chiller system over here. Unfortunately, today, prior to this meeting, Andreas and I fielded a phone call from Jeff Covert, who came last meeting, to just let us know that Monday they were supposed to take delivery of the compressor, and they were going to come out and start the work that day to get the temporary chiller out of here. Unfortunately, that date has been pushed back to November 11th now on a back order, so we are still waiting for that to come in. With all of that said, the temporary chiller that is sitting there will be, the last day that we will be billed for that is October 16th, and then we will not see another bill for that chiller moving forward.
Is insurance covering it?
Insurance is covering that, correct. So that is not on the school district. That is being covered by insurance. And then there's a rental agreement for approval tonight. Just wanted to point that out since we'll be asking for approval. That concludes my report.
Disappointed you didn't talk about Sushi Day.
Well, we can. Sushi Day is coming.
Matt, I always read that report.
Yes. Matt, if you look, Matt had a great costume in that
Matt had a great
report, by the
costume
way.
on, and it's Sushi Day on the
Yes.
19th. I'm
So
just throwing that out there.
we'll probably do a video for that.
Perfect.
We did do the Chipotle Bowl videos as well, which I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because there is something that I do want to point out in regards to that. So yes, Sushi Day is coming to the high school on the 19th, but yesterday I happened to see that I had a notification on LinkedIn, and anybody that follows us on LinkedIn knows that we post our videos and things up there, as well as YouTube and many other platforms. However, there was a repost of the Burrito Bowl edition, and that was done by Portage County Human Resources.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm not going to read the whole thing that they put, but they said, heads up, we have a GOAT, in all caps, G-O-A-T, in Portage County. Andreas Johansson, Director of Operations for Streetsboro City Schools, and follower to their page, is doing great things in terms of culture building and positivity, showing the schools. So shout out to Andreas, Jim Boardwine, and everybody that's making these videos happen. They're great. They don't take long to do. They're edited quickly. The Rocket Report ones are take a little more time, but we really focus in on those ones. Like we're doing a report card series right now that'll be out really soon. But these ones, those just happen organically. Like we're in the line at the cafeteria, and Andreas just says, like, here we go. Boom, pulls his phone out, and next thing I'm going through the lunch line, giving running commentary, spilling corn all over the place. But we're not afraid to be humans or be foolish at that, right? Like, it just shows the personal side of that, and it shows the team off. And so we're very, very proud of those videos. We enjoy doing them, and I know the team and teammates that we've done them with so far love them. And now we have people like, when are you going to put us on? When are you going to put us on? So.
Well, and I think it's good for people to see what's happening in the district. Once your children get older, you're not necessarily in the buildings as much as you were when they were younger to see things. And we're producing information that is both fun and also
informative.
Very informative.
Yep.
And you wouldn't know those things, had you not attended a board meeting or,
correct.
Been to a school meeting, so to speak.
It's just kind of giving another way for people to view information that might not be willing to watch a board meeting or not watching a board meeting or, you know, any of those things. So we've seen success in it so far, and you know, it adds a little bit to our plate, but we're all right doing it. So we're going to have the report card videos come out soon. We did one with Mike on the district overall report card last week. That should be going out today, potentially, if not tomorrow. We also did PI new bus one, where Amanda showed off the new buses and things like that. And today we did interviews at Henry Deffer and the high school about their report cards. So those will be edited and coming out soon.
Excellent.
That
Thank
concludes
you.
my report.
Okay. Moving on to board reports. Kristen Bedford.
Yeah, so let's start with the girls soccer team. The girls soccer team is currently 12-2-3, and last night they won the MAC championship at Kent State. So.
Yes. Congratulations. That is a big deal.
Yeah, great. They beat Cloverleaf in overtime, 2-1. So it looks like, and I hope I say her name right, Lydia Schofield.
Yep.
All right. Scored. I have another one down here. I'm probably going to mess up. So, scored the winning goal, and then they start the tournament this Saturday at 2 p.m. at home. So, good luck to them. I hope they make it far. A lot of great girls on that team. The boys soccer team currently 8-4-4 and in third place in the MACs, which is doing awesome as well. The varsity football team has continued a strong season, as many of us know, and they're sitting at 7-1. Currently in second place in the D4 region and clinching a home playoff game. Cross country is doing awesome as well. The cross country team will compete in the MAC championship tonight, so they're doing it right now, I assume?
They are done.
Right now. The boys and girls teams will start postseason on October 21st, and it's looking really promising for them to make a good run at regions. The golf team, the boys finished with a record of 10-8 overall and 10-4 in the MAC, so they finished in third place. The golf team had their best league record in program history. And then the girls finished 14-6. It was noted here Samantha Clark was the MAC Player of the Year, and Courtney Everett won MAC postseason tournament, and on her way to scoring the first team all-league honor. So good for her.
Excellent.
Awesome. And then I don't have very much on volleyball, but I know tonight's senior night and the girls are in there playing, so good luck to them. And it seems like they had a really great season. So that's my report.
Okay. And I do not have a report. Mrs. Eppel.
Okay. So I've been popping around to the schools that my kids haven't been at for a while. So I've already talked to Ms. Taylor, Mr. Wepler, and Mrs. Kravitz. And so I got a preview of Ms. Taylor's presentation while I was there the other day. And I was talking to Mr. Isle on Friday, and he was telling me about our Ohio Resident Educator program that Tiana Snyder runs. So there's mentors and mentees. The mentees are the new teachers in the district, and they have somebody for 2 years that's dedicated to them to teach them things like the basics, how to get into our system and how to access things that they need to access to be successful. And then they also work with them on their state evaluation, which takes place in their second year of employment out of college. And since Tiana has taken over the program, she meets with the mentors and the mentees weekly for the first year and then monthly for the second year. And since she's taken the program over in 4 years, everyone has passed on the first time.
Excellent.
So it's a testament to her dedication to the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to Mr. Grimm.
First thing it's citywide and involves the schools. 2 weeks from tomorrow will be our full-scale exercise that we've been working on for about 9-10 months, preparing for. So this is a training exercise between the police department, the school district, the fire department, several county agencies. It was all put together by Portage County Emergency Management. That will be on October 27th. That is a non-student day, and some staff will be on the main campus. Others, I understand, will be up here. So just so parents know, and I said something last month, but I want to say it again because maybe some people didn't hear it. But there will be a lot of activity on the main school campus. It's all for training. And I have to say that, we've done some more training between police and fire this week. And the more I talk to people outside of Streetsboro, the more I find out that Streetsboro is setting the bar I think Streetsboro Schools has set the bar for safety, and then combining with the fire department, the police department, even our service department in Portage County EMA, we've done a lot in Streetsboro to prepare for some unthinkable things we just hope never happen. That's our goal, is to keep training but never have to use it. So there's been a lot of work that school administrators and other personnel have been involved in. So another shout out to the school district for stepping up on that. And just remember, on the 27th, no students will be here, but it'll be a very important training day for the rest of us. School-wise, 7th and 8th grade bands are currently preparing for our in-school Veterans Assembly to be held Friday, November 10th. They'll perform America the Beautiful, as well as some excerpts from each of the branches of the service to honor the veterans in attendance. Middle school jazz band signups were posted earlier this month. For those that were interested, their first rehearsal will be Thursday, October 26th after school, and they will rehearse Tuesdays and Thursdays leading up to their December 5th December 5th concert. The jazz band is open to all 7th and 8th graders. 6th graders are able to join by audition, and it's also open to piano, guitar, bass guitar, and drum set players by audition. Congratulations to high school band member Abigail Holmes for being selected to participate in the Macy's Great American Marching Band at the 2023 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's going to be cool. Probably won't see her, but say she's in there somewhere. She'll be representing Streetsboro in New York City throughout the week of Thanksgiving, and watch the parade to try to catch her performing with the band. If you would like to support her cost of attendance, because it's expensive and it's all on her, you can go to GoFundMe.com and search for Abby Holmes, ABBYHOLMES. She is currently, I checked it a couple days ago, she was a little over halfway towards her goal of raising $1,500, and I think it'd be really cool if Streetsboro could boost her over the top and get her to New York City without any worries. And I think it's a really awesome opportunity. Not only is band itself an awesome opportunity for students, but to show your talents on national TV in New York City is just another step up. So I think it's a great opportunity for her, and even a feather in the cap for Streetsboro bands. That's all I have.
She's at $985 right now. So she's not far away.
No, she's getting closer.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Mr. Violi.
I have no report.
All right then. Moving on to consent agenda items. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the consent agenda items B through N.
I'll move.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? I would just like to say thank you to those who donated. The donations we had this month were books to our library, and those are always incredibly important because kids get bored. And it's a nice way to refresh things. Okay, Mr. Haynes.
Mr. Violi.
Yes.
Mr. Grimm.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to superintendent's recommendation.
Thank you. I have one item. Item A, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the hiring of the following contingent upon all certification licensure requirements being met.
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Haynes.
Who first and seconded? Got it.
Pick. That was one.
No, rock, paper, scissors.
Sorry, I went really fast.
Mr. Grimm.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mr. Violi.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
That concludes my recommendations.
Thank you. Moving on to treasurer recommendations.
It is recommended the Board of Education approve the amended appropriations for fiscal year '24, and estimated resources will be adjusted as needed for permanent appropriations.
I'll move.
I'll second. First and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Haynes.
Mr. Violi.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mr. Grimm.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
American Fidelity, it is recommended that the board adopt a Section 125 flexible fringe benefits plan to be updated and maintained by American Fidelity for the employees of Streetsboro City School District to be effective on 12/1/23.
I'll move.
Second?
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Quick question. No cost to the district?
This is at no cost.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Haynes.
Mrs. Bedford.
Yes.
Mr. Grimm.
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Epple.
Yes.
Mr. Violi.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on. That's it.
No further items.
Okay, sorry. Chief Business Officer's recommendations.
Thank you. I have two this evening. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the purchase of Verkada cameras through X-Tech Partners for Streetsboro High School, Streetsboro Middle School, Henry Deffer Intermediate, and Streetsboro Elementary School using the OFCC safety grant funding.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Haynes?
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mr. Krim?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Epple?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Second recommendation is recommended the Board of Education approve two facility rental agreements between Streetsboro City School District's Board of Education and Surge Dance Complex as attached.
I'll move.
I'll second.
We have a first, second, and a third. Any discussion? This is one of the dance competitions that we've had before, correct?
Yeah, we have a lot of return
Yeah.
customers. They've really enjoyed their experience here, and we got some other creative ways we'll be showing you guys soon of things that we can do.
Excellent.
No doubt.
Okay, Mr. Haynes?
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Epple?
Yes.
Mr. Krim?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
That concludes my recommendations. Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Any new business? Any old business? Okay. Board President recommendation. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the following board policy revision. This is for a criminal records check.
Motion to approve?
I have a first
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion?
I have something on this item, if that's okay.
Of course.
All right. So we didn't have this the last time when you did all of them because we needed to do some looking into this item. And it was mainly on our end where we were holding it up because there was a lot of questions about the term contractor and what that meant.
Yep.
Did that mean every single person, every single Cintas rep, every single
HVAC
everybody,
person, right? Anyone
And then
on
who-
property.
Who takes that cost? How does that work?
Yep.
And then it holds up timelines, projects, all of those things because, you know, they're employed through their company and they have to follow that procedure through their company. So we reached out to legal and kind of went back and forth. And honestly, our legal, when we brought it to them, was like, wow, you're the first person that has brought this up. So it went to a larger scale to the point now where our legal has written a blog about this very instant. So I just wanted to share with you basically what that means in terms of that. So this came from the Office and Policy of Legislative Affairs Director, Jennifer Stump. She said, the department agrees that the contractor language from House Bill 33 is overly broad, and we will be working with stakeholders to clarify the language. We believe the intent was to focus on the contractors who have regular interaction with students. So it said that they're working on the legislative fix and that there's other law, Ohio Revised Code 331932 that says basically that the background checks are to be done that involves routine interaction with a child or regular responsibility for care, custody, or control of a child. So they kind of contradict one another.
Sure.
So it's been ruled that that's what you follow when you pass 3.02. And that's
Okay.
what we're going to follow. So any of our outside vendors that come in and do services that are counseling services that directly work with students,
Yep.
speech therapy, all of
Occupational
those will have to
therapy.
go through that process. But in terms of like, we just poured a ton of cement, that's not going to have to go through that process. So
Okay.
I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure we were all on the same page in terms of what that meant.
Excellent. Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Haynes?
Mr. Krim?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Epple?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to executive session, it is recommended the Board of Education enter an executive session to consider the employment, discipline, and compensation of a public employee or official.
Motion to approve?
I'll
Tanya got that one.
No discussion, I assume.
Au contraire.
Of course.
Just to be safe, can we add in item E and F, matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes?
Yes.
And details relative to security arrangements and emergency response protocols for a public body or office, so on and so forth.
We can.
Mr. Grimm, do you need possible action to follow?
No, not for me.
Nope, okay. We'll add that in, Mr. Haynes? Okay. You can go ahead and call the roll. Call the roll.
Oh, I didn't hear you. He said-
Sorry.
My bad. Mr. Grimm?
Yes.
Mrs. Zeppel?
Yes.
Mrs. Bedford?
Yes.
Mrs. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Violi?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. We are in executive session at 6:44 PM. I think I didn't know how to act tonight because we really threw that.
From the studios at Streetsboro High School, this is the Rocket Report.